distance activists have been detained by Chinese authorities after unfurling a protest banner at Mount Everest's main base camp in Tibet. The demonstration at base camp coincided with the 18th birthday of Gendun Chokya Nyema, a boy chosen in 1995 by the exiled Dalai Lama as the Panchen Lama, Tibetan Buddhism's second most important spiritual leader. The boy disappeared into Chinese custody at the time and hasn't been seen since, while Chinese authorities selected another child as their Panchen Lama. Here's Dan Griffiths.
These are the last known pictures of Gedun Choki Nyima, the boy chosen to be Panchen Lama. He was just 6 years old when these photographs were taken, not long after he'd been hand-picked by Tibet's exiled spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama. Since then, he hasn't been seen in public. The Chinese authorities rejected his appointment, arrested the boy and his family, and named their own Panchen Lama, a move that outraged many Tibetans who refused to recognize the government's choice. China has long suppressed religious and political freedoms in Tibet. From Beijing's perspective, the region has been part of China for centuries. But for many Tibetans, the Chinese government is an occupying power, which has shown no regard for human rights or for the region's unique culture.
This is the Yonghe Temple in Beijing. It's one of the most important centers of Tibetan Buddhism here in China. But make no mistake, the monks here aren't allowed to worship freely. In fact, the Chinese government keeps a tight lid on all religious expression here in China. And that's something the Tibetan people and the 18-year-old Panchen Lama know all too well. Daniel Griffiths, BBC News, Beijing.
Now, Lodi Gyaltsen Gyari, the Dalai Lama's special envoy, told Asia Today from Washington it's very difficult for them to know the whereabouts of the original Panchen Lama. They want the Chinese government to allow the 18-year-old to be free.
This is not just an issue about one person. The whole issue about the Panchen Lama is the core issue of Tibetan people's fundamental religious belief. As you know, that the whole institution of reincarnation is very unique to Tibetan form of Buddhism, and therefore what we oppose is the atheist Communist Party nominating one of our most important religious leaders. This should be left entirely to the religious leaders, particularly in this case for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to choose. So this is not just a issue about 18-year boy, but this is about the core of Tibetan people's right to practice our form of religion.
The views of the Dalai Lama's envoy. You're watching Asia Today. Still to come, the rest of the Asian news, business and sport. And we get the latest from Dhaka,